For our theme this week, we're hitting the water to find remote fishing spots while being stealthy, enjoying the serene outdoors, and getting in a workout.
That's right, Bree. Join us as we enter the world of paddle fishing on the Texas Insider Fisher Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report, Paddle Edition. We're your hosts, Bree Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, along with our guides bringing you the first theme show of the season.
So, Bree, you know what I thought was really cool when I was putting the list of shows that we were going to do was the popularity of paddle fishing, whether it's on a paddle board, whether it's on a canoe with one of your favorite friends, or whether you want to fish in the ocean or you want to fish in a lake. Texas is the perfect habitat for paddle sports.
It absolutely is. Well, let's see how Dave is doing at the Yak Gear Workbench this week, along with our favorite Lower Coast Region captain, Chad Kinney. Hey guys, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Chad's here.
Woo!
Hey, I'm ready.
All the way from Texas.
All the way. Here we go.
As soon as we go to commercial.
Dave's getting some help today. All right, we're getting our paddles wet in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region with Captain Bink Grimes. You know what, Bink? Get us started.
All right. Hey, spring's a great time for paddle sports along the Middle Coast. Tides are rising. All those backwater sloughs and bows are full of water and full of fish. Redfish anglers have been tossing those small mirror sheep pups in those back reaches of the bay that are only inhabitable by paddling to and fro. Shark anglers, they've been using a lot of paddle boats to get to the large offerings, get those big old pieces of mullet past that second bar on the beach and reach where those larger fish are hanging. When the Gulf calms, I've seen paddlers jumping tarpon right off the end of the Porter Connor jetty. In fact, I have a great paddling spot just called St. Mary's Slough right next to my lodge that you can park on the side of the road and just get after those redfish. Well, our trout action, sweet southeast winds have dominated lately, and those trout are in the moody topwaters. In Palacios, the shorelines and guts are holding a trout over sand and grass. North shoreline reefs have been good around the barge and Coon Island. Then the reefs in San Antonio Bay's been good on bass and sea shad, and the topwater bite's been good on mirror she dogs and pink bone and chartreuse. Same patterns holding along the south shoreline of West Matagorda Bay. Reefs and sand and grass pockets are holding trout on the incoming tide on sheep pups. That afternoon bite has been really good as the incoming tide's pushing a lot of glass minnows along the shoreline. And then in Rockport, Corkies continue to coach those shoreline trout around Mud Island and Trailer Island, incoming tide around Super Flat, around Port Aransas as well. Look for those slicks coming through that Lydia Ann channel, cast downwind of them. Port O'Connor reefs around Ayers Dugout and Panther Point have been good on bass assassins. Sand and grass pockets are holding good trout on that incoming tide. Trout action around Cole Pass and San Luis Pass in the Freeport area has been better with water temperatures in the mid-70s. In fact, all the passes are holding trout with daytime temps reaching the mid-80s to 90, and for the first time, it's reached 90 in 2024. Our tide and temperatures have been in the 70 to 75 degree range. Redfish action. People love to catch redfish, but staying on a good pattern has been tough lately. All those spring tides have scattered reds all over the flats and pushed them back into sloughs and bows that are tough to navigate. But those paddle fishermen are getting them a whole lot easier than us guys on the boats. But the higher tides have encouraged those reds to work the grass lines, shrimp, where they love to hide. An educated cast just a few feet from those shores gets you in the game. In Matagorda, most of those boaters are hitting points and structures along the south shoreline with live shrimp. They're power poling down. I'm using my twin power pole 10-footers, those blades, man. I don't know where I'd be without those things. Some days you're stuck on a point and you never move. Other days you catch one fish per reef and bounce around. That's kind of what we did this morning, just bouncing back and forth, catching reds, catching black drum. It's really been good. Bull redfish are all over the beaches and jetties. Guys on foot are tossing big chunks of crab and mullet in the first gut on the high tide, while jetty anglers are working that ocean side on the incoming and the channel side on the outgoing. There's a photo there. That redfish was on a pin battle spinning reel. It tested my wife's drag pretty good in Oyster Lake last week.
Nice.
Yeah, offshore action. The Freeport bull redfish are all over the beachfront, about 35 foot of water. Lots of bonnethead and black-tipped sharks are eating sardines in that same water. Guide Michael Quebecer said those swords are still out there, 80 miles out, but the weather's made it tough to stay on a bite. But when he gets anything under 15-knot winds, he's going out there and getting after those over the hilltops and bringing me a lot of nice swordfish meat. Man, as spring rolls into summer, our winds are going to calm out in that big pond. It's going to give us another shot at those snapper, ling, cobia, and just about everything. And man, we're looking forward to another great week in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region. Please be good stewards of our bays and beaches. Catch and release is still really, really cool. So please release more than you take, and just have fun out there and take care of your fellow man.
All right, bud, you are cool. Thank you so much. We're going to take a look at the MirrOlure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says find trout while waiting with bass assassins on the sand and grass flats near the passes. The redfish are at the jetties on fresh menhaden and a shrimp. And for those kayakers, you can check out those back sloughs.
Well, Rick, it must be a special week because we have our Sea Sucker Lower Coast Region Captain, Chad Kinney, live in the studio with us. Welcome back, Chad.
Perfect. Glad to be here. We're going to talk about some paddling, some inshore fishing, some offshore fishing, everything I love to do.
Let's do it.
All right,
Go
get
ahead.
to it. Let's go ahead.
Tell you what, we're going to start with the paddle first, guys. The Lower Coast has a perfect destination to take your kayak out there and paddle your way out into the flats to spoil areas for some great fishing. Check out yakgear.com for all the accessories that'll go with that kayak on there. They got everything you can think of that'll help you out there. Remember, before you take off and you launch, check your weather forecast for your winds, from the conditions, from the time you launch and your return on that also, because we get a lot of winds in that South Texas deal, so you could watch that one really good. There's a south boat ramp there in Port Mansfield, Texas, which is perfect. In fact, makes it really easy for your kayak guys to launch. You can just park right there, launch right there, and if you go straight east, only about a mile or two is right to the long bar. You can anchor up right there in your kayak, and you can go wade fishing or fish right off there. There's plenty of trout, redfish, and flounder action off that bar there. It's a good tip for you guys there. There's also some beachfront access over there from Corpus Christi if you go down about 40 miles and head out to like the 42s or Turtle Hole. So going to inshore species, we're still talking about sometimes same thing, but right now with these higher winds, head to the land cut and work the edges of the ICW and the oil guts that are going up and through there. The trout been holding really good in there, right on the edges of the grass beds and those drop-offs. Early in the AM, we're throwing some Top Dog Juniors. It's working really good on those grass beds. And then we're going to some Saltwater Assassin Sea Shad, that magic grass in color, working great. That's my favorite color there, working good with the 1/8 ounce jig head. And also key on this when you got your boat, use your Rodan trolling motor there to keep you in position, actually to move up and down. If you can get into the currents, even better, kind of move up slowly, work all those grass beds, drop-offs, and you get to a point where you're down by the oil guts, then go ahead and hit your anchor lock. Keep you right there, definitely in point with that wind. But try that land cut because the winds are up. They'll give better water clarity and protect you from those winds. You get a lot better results there. Moving to offshore, state water snapper fishing. We always talk about that, but it's really good in the Lower Coast. We got a lot of natural structure, and there's plenty of tuna action and billfish out at the floater rigs. That state water snapper, it's been good, 40 to 90 foot of water. The best fishing is right now with these winds and north winds, south winds. When these currents are low and start subsiding and the seas are good, that's when the best fishing is going to be. You can chum them up and use an Eagle Claw trocar jig, about a 1 ounce to 3 ounce, and attach a piece of fish bites to it, a strip of it right on there. Works great. Work that upper column of water. You're gonna really start hammering them. If the currents, start getting high and your bait's going way out the back end, then your only option really is to go back to a bank weight, like an 8 to 12 ounce bank weight, and drop it to the bottom. And those fish will be holding really, really tight to it. Got a picture here of a red snapper that Bones actually works on Bam Bam here. You can see that bank weight there. We had a high 3-knot current. We had to go ahead and drop to the bottom, but there's fish holding tight there. Moving out to floater rigs, if you guys are the Lower Coast, whether it's Port A, South Padre, Port Mansfield, plan one of these trips on there to go out and do an overnight deal. We're offering 1 to 2 night stays on a 70 Custom that I've been got 6-8 months ago out of Port Mansfield for Bam Bam fishing. When the weather right, the fishing's just been incredible. Right now we're working 2 rigs out there plus several drill ships and some other work boats. So definitely book a trip or get a boat with some buddies and head on out. The yellowfin tuna action's been really crazy. It's been catching them jigging on top waters with a Penn 6500 with a blue Carnage jigging rod. Also catching them on the troll reel early in the AM and late before dark with Islander lures rigged with ballyhoo. Some good blue marlin out there in the mix also, and so get some friends together and make a trip there. We got a picture of a Penn jigging rod here. A buddy of mine, Matt Rubel from Dallas. You can see that drill ship in the background. He was just working out the yellowfin.
Wow. Are you done there, Chad?
I'm not done. I'm gonna go fishing later, but I'm done with for show.
So I got a question for you. You know, Chad, people talk about going out offshore overnight. Tell me quickly what that's really like. When do you leave? Do you chug? How does that work?
So typically, I'm an impatient guy, so I run. We got a 70-foot boat. We're gonna leave at 9 in the morning. You'll be fishing by 3. We're gonna troll from 3 o'clock till it gets dark. Then we'll have a good dinner. Then we'll start jigging all night long. We'll throw top waters at them. We'll start chunking baits, and then we'll fish in the morning. You'll watch a beautiful sunrise. Then we'll start trolling the Islander lures and start working them that way. And if we do a 2-night stay, then we just troll for marlin the rest of the day and kind of repeat the same scenario.
Wow.
It's epic. It's like
Bam,
Disney
bam.
World
Thank
out
you,
there.
ma'am.
You gotta go.
There we go.
Well,
Out of
thank you so
Mansfield
much
Marina.
for being here,
Appreciate it.
Mr. Bam Bam.
Mr.
All right.
Bam Bam.
I'll
You're
see-
going to see Bam Bam in a little while.
Good. I'll see you guys offshore.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Chad. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots from the lower coast region. Chad says that inshore, Northland Cut is still producing good numbers of trout, black drum along the edges of the ICW and the oil guts. And then offshore, state water red snapper fishing is good with deeper floater rigs still holding plenty of tuna with some billfish in the mix. What do you think, Bree?
I think I want to go with Chad.
Yeah, man. Yes, you
He's
do.
got it all planned
that
out.
New sweet boat.
Gonna catch some tuna. Oh, that sounds amazing.
It would be.
All right, the Star-Tron Middle Fresh region is coming up next. Plus, Dave Farrell is showing off some paddle skills for rigs and techniques at the Yak Gear Workbench. Who do you have helping you out today?
I'm not showing any paddle skills. Eric is
I
going to
know,
be
it was a
showing
joke.
us. Eric Clark from Yak Gear is going to be showing us all the paddle.
I'll see what I can
tonight.
do. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, okay, there we go. Stealing money again.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
There we go.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
All right, we're here at the Yak Gear Workbench, and we're going to go a little bit in depth on how we can set up a kayak for inshore and offshore fishing. I think we're going to start with the very main thing, Eric, is keeping put, staying in one spot.
Yeah, positioning is key when you're in a small craft like this. First things first, safety, PFD, VHF radio.
There you go.
But after that, you need to get on the water. You need to worry about your positioning. One great product we have to help with that is our brush gripper. I have it tied off to the front on a bow handle. This works great in our Deluxe Anchor Charlie as well. I think you have one there.
Yeah, this is an Anchor Charlie. This actually goes all the way down the side of the kayak, and it'll run back and forth, so you can do all kinds of stuff with
Exactly. You're not always going to have that option. So for this case, I just tie it off to my front bungee,
Right.
and I can grab onto docks, pilings, mangroves, limbs, you name it. I've got a way to clamp on without leaning too far over. I can just reach and clamp.
That's awesome.
Really cool as well as it works with our stakeout stick. So if you'll see, it's got rope in there. So if you just put that between that and the teeth, there's no way that's going to come off. So if you don't have anything to anchor to, it's important to have that stakeout stick, which by the way does float, so you're not going to lose it if it pops out. But that gives you the option to tie off without actually having to tie off.
Right. And you can also use a mushroom anchor as well. You can bring one of those along.
Absolutely. We have mushroom anchors. We have collapsible grapnel anchors. And we even have sand digging Bruce anchor.
Right.
You name it, we got what you need for anchoring when it comes to small craft.
Beautiful. Now I noticed that this is obviously a pedal kayak, but you've got a paddle as well.
Of course.
Always bring a paddle, because you never know if you're going to be too shallow, you can't use your pedals, or they might fail on you, and then you're stuck.
Yep.
So always
Yep.
bring a paddle. What
Hope
you got
for the
there?
best, prepare for the worst.
There you go.
Yeah, if your pedals do fail or you're just too shallow to use them and you need to use a paddle, our Assassin paddle makes a great tool for the kayak. It's hooked on one side of the blade, so if you need to grab a hold of something, pull yourself in, you have that. and serrated on the opposite side for pushing off. I know you mentioned earlier you've tried to push off with the blade and just slipped.
I've had that problem before.
Yeah.
I'm a little too heavy for the round push. Next, I see you've got some mounts over there on that side for your
Right, I actually just clicked in that paddle to our track mount paddle holder. In front of that, you'll see our transducer mount. So if you want to mount some electronics to your kayak, we've got your transducer covered as well as the display. We have display mounts for units 4 inches all the way up to 12-inch units.
What kind of one? What do you put on yours?
I have a 7-inch Garmin display.
I got you.
I just haven't quite got my mount in yet.
I got you. I got you. Well, and I noticed that you've got the ubiquitous crate storage back here, but this is a little bit different than the milk crates that I've used to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our newest product, the Kayak Angler Crate. What's cool about this is not only the storage, but the 1, 2, 3, 4 rod holders all the way around it.
There you go.
It's got lashings that are all quick release, so when it's time to get off the water, you can just release your crate, carry all your gear back to your truck. And again, putting it back on is just as simple. Just lash it down.
I see you got that fish stick there as well.
Another one of my favorite products is our fish stick measuring device. It floats, it's high vis, it actually comes with a Sharpie so you can mark all your slots you need to. That's important if you're gonna keep any fish or even fishing any of these CWR tournaments.
Right.
Or CPR, I should say, catch, photo, release.
Well, that rod you got up there, I want to talk about that real quick. We've got the Fenwick Elite up there, and it's a 7.6-inch rod. And you'd think you'd want a shorter rod when you're on a kayak for the storage, but that 7'6" really allows you to cast a lot further when you're sitting down. And it's got a Penn Battle 3 on there, which is, got a metal body and a graphite rotor, so it's strong but light. And put a shrimp on there and you'll catch anything, like that little Savage Gear shrimp.
Long enough to reach around the bow if something's pulling you around. You gotta have that length.
Yeah, you'd think everybody would put a real short one on there, but they don't. Well, that was great, man.
Hey,
thanks a lot, Eric.
Thanks for having me.
That's a good point about going around the bow, Eric.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Longer rod certainly helps that happen.
And I think Rick's ready to get on a kayak now.
I am. I'm ready.
You are? You ready?
Let's do it.
Ready. Ready to go kayaking.
Let's go. The Startown Middle Fresh region is breaking out the yaks, and it's perfect timing. So, Matt, tell us why.
I sure will, Bree. So, the Middle Fresh region always offers excellent paddle fishing, but especially right now because we've had a lot of rain in this region lately, and many of the reservoirs here have been flooded. And I know a lot of the kayaks are rigged up with electronics and offshore fishing equipment these days, so they can fish off the bank too. But, if you're just paddling out there, especially in a simple kayak without electronics, it's always easiest to just hit the bank, right? So my recommendation for the paddle fishermen right now in the Middle Fresh region would be to look for those lakes that are at flood stage, that are over pool level, and that's going to tend to push a lot more of those fish up shallow around the bushes and shoreline cover. I would take it a step farther right now, and I would look for the lakes that are not only have the high water, but are also located in the northern or the western, far western parts of the Middle Fresh region, because those lakes are going to have more fish still in that spawn phase, and they'll be using that shoreline cover a lot more, so they'll be a lot easier to find close to the bank. You can also be a lot more stealthy in a kayak if you are in that situation versus like a bass boat or something, because you can get in those areas around those bushes and really sneak up on those fish and not spook as many, and leads to a lot more success. So I think it sets up great right now for the paddle fishermen. I hope they all get out there and take advantage of that. Now, as for what the largemouth bass are doing right now on some of our different lakes, we're going to kick it off with Sam Rayburn this week. A lot going on over there right now. The bass are still using the points and the flats a lot. Out in about 10 to 20 feet of water. They're biting the Carolina rigs and the crankbaits, and I know I've been sounding like a broken record lately on that. We just didn't see as much diversity in the spring pattern this year because the lower water level has kept those fish out on those points and flats most of the time. I have heard some reports of a topwater bite around the grass in the mid-lake area, but the main deal has definitely been out structure fishing farther offshore because of that lower lake level. Bob Seeley hosted his 40th annual Big Bass Splash event over at Rayburn this past weekend. They had an awesome turnout, tons of entries, and despite some cool windy weather on Sunday especially, the fishery really showed out. The anglers did an awesome job catching lots of big fish. It took over a 4-pounder to get a check most of the hours for all 3 days. There was only a few times that some heavy 3-pounders snuck in there, and the overall winner was Mr. Kerry Essel, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, of Crosby, Texas. He brought an 11.3 pounder to the scales to take the grand prize. Big old giant Texas bass. I want to say congrats to him on that big old fish. That was really a beautiful one. And there were 4 fish over 10 pounds weighed in at Rayburn. So it really pumped out the big fish for that event. Bob Sealing and his crew did an awesome job as always. I highly recommend participating in any of their future events. Y'all go check them. And before I forget, there's a photo as well of Mr. Carey there with that tournament winning 11 pounder.
Tell us about Richland Chambers, Bob.
Let's go to Richland Chambers. Mr. Thurman's got a good report for us up there as always. He says the lake's slightly over full. Water temperatures are up in the upper 60s now, and the bass are still holding that flooded brush. They're in the really thick stuff. You're going to want to use those Bass Assassin creature baits like the skunk ape or the whoop-eye crawl. All right, now down here at Toledo Bend, same here. We're flooded. We got another big rain last Saturday in our region, and these lakes got another big influx of that fresh water. The water temperature here on the bend has been holding in the lower 70s. So things are definitely warming up. I've even seen some 76-degree waters lately, and that's main lake water temperature, not back in the cove. So when we see that main lake temperature start getting over 75 consistently, that's one of the major signs that we're transitioning into that late spring phase where the fish begin to bunch up in bigger schools out deep more and more. We've already been seeing that some, and it should only improve. They're hanging out there on the edge of the flats and the points, just like Rayburn. They're out in 10 to 20 feet of water. The Berkeley crankbaits are awesome right now. And then your dragon baits like your Carolina rigs and your Texas rig worms are great also. Makes for some good power fishing action there.
Quickly on the catfish,
now I'm going to
Bub.
swap over to quick on the catfish. Lake Conroe, the catfish bite sounds like it's been incredible there. Seems like it always is. They're catching them real good there along the seawalls in the morning and then on the baited holes later in the day. Type of bait doesn't seem to matter too much, but shad and worms are always a favorite. And then Lake Livingston, the catfish bite seems like it's excellent there as well. Same kind of deal. I'm hearing that they're up shallow in the morning, chasing the shad spawn. So throw those shad up there real shallow around the bank and catch a bunch.
All right, Bub, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots for the Middle Fresh region. He says Sam Rayburn is pumping out tons of big bass. They are being caught on crankbaits and Carolina rigs. The catfish bite is excellent on Conroe and Livingston, up shallow and around those shads.
All right, well, it's time to get ready for the 30th annual Skeeter Owners Tournament at Lake Fork. Thousands of Skeeter owners travel to celebrate the world's first bass boat and fish for their chance to win up to $200,000 in cash and prizes. Get registered today and come join us for a weekend to remember, June 6th through the 9th, by scanning that QR code right there on your screen. Coming up, we're going top to bottom in the upper and lower fresh regions, so stay hooked. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Scan the QR code on your screen to check out all of our social media pages, our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, of course, where you can see our fishing adventures with reports. Plus, on our website, we have our new show merchandise, so make sure you scan away, and we'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
So, Bree, you know, there's been a boat show recently, lots of them, and my good buddy Ryan Rickard, one of the Skeeter Bass pros, or one of the Skeeter saltwater pros, not bass, he actually laid down one of his favorite boats and gives us a walkthrough. Let's check it out.
Let's take a look.
Hey guys, Ryan Rickard here at the show. I want to talk to you guys today about the Skeeter SX 210 bay boat, show you a lot of the features that we have that you may not know. Starting up front here is going to be our anchor locker storage compartment, multiple size anchors you can fit in there. Also on the front deck space, you've got other storage compartments, including a rod locker. One on the right, one in the center, and then the one on the left is our rod locker storage. Talking about the front deck, lots of front deck space. Multiple people could be up here fishing, cast netting, whatever you need, a lot of deck room. As you step down to the floor, we've got also a cast net storage compartment or anything wet that you might want to use. Big feature for our boat versus some other competition is our front live well as well. Standard, we have 2 live wells in this boat, one up front and one in the rear, which I'll get to in a moment. Cool part of this boat, dual entry into the console. If you got to fix something or add something into the console, I really like that feature. Here's the other entry in from the backside, which new this year is a removable lid, which you have storage, you have cell phone or wallet compartments, and if you use that as a cell phone compartment, there's a quick charging station as well. Standard this year is our leaning post. Cool features, the fold down seats with a footrest. You could also get a leaning post live well for an additional live well. But again, standard, we added a couple other things this year. More storage for more tackle. Also in this option, you have the roll-out cooler, the standard live well in the rear, dual jump seats with storage underneath. Last but not least, the greatest motor on the market right there, Yamaha.
You know, Bree, the cool thing about Skeeter is not only they build great bay boats, but they also build some cool bass boats like this one behind us. Guys, if you've never ridden in a Skeeter, I suggest you contact your local dealer and go for a ride to see which one best fits your needs. Ooh. They really make some cool boats.
I second that. All right, in the Upper Fresh region, Mike McFarland is getting us out on Ray Hubbard, Levon, Athens, Tawakoni, and Lake Fork for our weekend ahead. Talk to us, Mike.
Hi, Bree. Hey, Captain. Hey, Dave. You're definitely in Skeeter country up here in the northeast Texas. Theme, paddleboard fishing. You know, when it comes to paddleboard fishing up in these parts, we just don't see it very much or at all. I think lakes like Ray Hubbard or Tawakoni could offer some decent striper and hybrid fishing in some of the open waters by the dam and the marinas. But the majority of the lakes here are filled with so much timber and things that are just too dangerous for a paddleboard. It's very intimidating. But let's tell you about some bass fishing. Got some great bass fishing going on up here. Ray Hubbard, Joe Shipley says the bass bite is good again. It was a bit slow last week, but it's close to the reeds as you can flip a creature bait, get it back there as far as you can. If you don't get bit, as soon as it hits the bottom, pull it out and do it again. Dirty water, clean water, doesn't really matter. Just be sure to go slow and be thorough. Lake Levon with Kerry Thorne, bass are still running in the 3 to 15 foot range. 3 to 5 foot diving square bill crankbaits are your best bet. There's definitely still some spawning fish there. Texas rig worms, creature baits around the spawning areas and flats will get some of those fish. And then some swim baits and smaller Alabama rigs are also working over brush piles on secondary points. Lake Fork. Before we do Lake Fork, I want to tell you something special. We have a lake that just opened up just north of Dallas. It's called Bodark. It is full of the Lone Star bass. They're big. They're 4 or 5 pounders already. They've never been fished before. The lake is fresh. And right now, it is off the chain. Bodark fishing, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and white chartreuse. Also, the bass assassins, like the RSB worm, swimming that RSB worm in Junebug, and the weightless Texas rig fat job, the bass assassin fat job in Junebug. I'm talking 40 fish days, no joke. This lake is for real. Bodark, just north of Dallas. And, of course, my home lake, Lake Fork. Bass fishing's been up and down here. We are way over pool. A lot of flooding over the weekend, but the bass still continue to spawn here. Sight fishing's really tough. You just got to go real slow. Creature baits like the bass assassin whoopah craw and the assassin skunk ape, they're still your best bets, but you must have a good pair of sunglasses. I'm choosing the Bajio. They work so good. I can see even in the dirty water. And then really strong anchor power poles. I got 10 footers. It keeps me off of those fish, keeps them from being spooked. But this young man caught a really big one with me. It was a personal best. Really exciting last week.
Nice. Good job, bud. All right, what else you got for us?
Crappie. Lake Levon with Kerry Thorne. Crappie are still right in the middle of the spawn. Look for the shallow fish, mostly in the northern end. There's some pre-spawn roaming males and females hanging on the brush and timber in 5 to 15 feet of water. Hand-tied jigs tipped with minnows working best. If you're fishing real shallow for the spawners, minnows under a bobber set 3 feet are working best and around rocks. Remember the rocks. Lake Fork of Jackie Wiggins. He says the crappie fishing's really been good this past week. They're catching fish in 2 to 13 feet of water that are still up around timber and grass lines, and they're starting to have fish move back out in 12 to 18 feet post-spawn. A lot of black crappie setting up on the bridges. Not loaded up yet, but very soon that will be good. 1/16 ounce hand-tied jigs, and of course, always your minnows are going to do well there. And here's a plate or a table of Jackie Wiggins crappie.
soon to be on the plate.
Nice. All right, what else you
Soon to
got?
be on the plate. That's right, in the belly.
Tell us about the stripers and white bass and hybrids, bub.
Lake Levant, Kerry Thorne, excellent. Sand bass are spawning. When the creeks flow, the sand bass go up to spawn. So he runs up those creeks. He likes inline spinners and small hand-tied jigs, 1/8 ounce to 5/8 ounce, depending on the current. Heavy current, you're going to heavier bait. Kerry really likes the 4-pound test line. He says you get more bites, and of course you have a lot more fun with those 2 to 3 4-pound fish. But if you're struggling with the artificial, minnows will also work. If you're in the main lake on Levant, 2 to 20 feet, watch the threadfin shad early morning on the banks. Look for the birds. You'll see the birds feeding on the shad. Just fish in front of the birds with the 3 to 4 inch paddle tail swim baits. And then later pull out and use the slap spoons in 15 to 20 feet. Tawakoni, average sand bass, they're starting to move shallow there. Again, shad spawn areas, 3-inch swim baits, slap spoons, and a little bit of topwater action. My favorite topwater is the Berkeley Jaywalker. The Berkeley Jaywalker in bone white with those hybrids will get your arm hurt. But that kind of concludes what I got for you. Here's some great pictures of Matt Cartwright.
All right, bub, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. He said all the lakes in the Upper Fresh region are fishing very well. Both bass, crappie are in full spawn. Hybrids and stripers are chasing shads and catfish, starting to run the banks. It's a great time to go fishing for whatever species you prefer. You know, Bree, the cool part about Texas is that how from one end of the giant state to the other end, you can have so much diversity. And what I mean is, you know, the guys are still in full spawn here. They're done with the spawn over there. I think that it'd be cool if you live in the middle, you could chase all the different spawns. That would be my tingle.
There we go. That's your tingham. All right, there are a ton of reasons to get yourself out on a kayak, according to Matt Reed in the Lower Fresh region on Lake Travis, Bastrop, LBJ, Buchanan, Somerville, and Fayette County. So let's hear what they are. Go for it, Matt.
All right, Bray. We're going to kick this thing off with the paddling world. It's a great time to seek out the shallow areas of most any South Texas lake or river. You know, and a kayak gives you great access to those remote areas that are very difficult for a bass boat to reach. Most state parks and marinas or even just back roads are great places to hit the water and start paddling. There are many species at your fingertips right now. The bass are finished spawning, but are predominantly shallow, feeding up on the shad spawn and the bluegill spawn. Catfish are now shallow to begin their spawn cycle, and they're very willing to bite. And all the panfish are in that zone as well. Keep it basic and get out and have some fun. Got a picture of one of my buddies there. He travels and fishes kayak tournaments everywhere, but he just loves this time of year to get in areas and catch those fish when they're shallow as he's paddling around.
All right, tell me about the largemouth.
Gonna move on to the bass. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Brian Cotter sent me a report from Lake Travis. Says it's fishing very well. The bass are on the main lake flats with grass, and you can use many techniques to target those fish. Shallow crankbaits, swim baits, and spinner baits if you like to keep your bait moving. Soft plastics are also working very well. There's some good fish on the cliff walls. You want to flip a Texas rig real tight to those walls, let it fall vertical. Some good sized fish in the 5 to 6 pound range are biting. Straight tail worms are your best shot for that. On the deep ledges and that 15 to 25, a drop shot will get you some big bites out there also on Travis. Lake Bastrop, fishing well. There's still a few fish around the creek mouth and a little ways in, but most are on the main lake grass lines. Again, if you like the moving baits, throw cranks, swim baits, or spinner baits to catch those fish that are very active. If you want to slow down, throw your Texas rig, soft plastic stick worms or flukes, and that's going to add to your creel all day long. Another fun bite that's going on there's a frog bite up shallow. So if you like to get that explosion, move up shallow and try to get you a few bites. LBJ is fishing very good. He says you can still find a few fish on beds there, but most of them are done. There's still a lot of fish in the back of the pocket shallow, though. He likes throwing a wake bait right now, a swim bait, or even a frog for those shallow fish. Later on, when the sun comes up, Skipping docks is always a great way to load the boat. Wacky worms and jigs will get you some great bites doing that. Buchanan's Fishing Well also. Look in the back of the creeks and flip every stick up there with a Texas rig. There's some, post spawners still hanging around up there. Lots of fish out on the rock piles and rocky points. You want to target those fish with jigs and swim baits, or if they're out a little deeper, medium or deep running crankbait will get you some bites on those rock piles. Greg Boyd, send me something from Somerville. Bass are a little fair this week. Most of them are being caught just outside the buckbrush or on the rock shores with chatterbaits and swim jigs. Fayette County, there's still a real good shallow bite early in the morning on lipless crankbaits, and also just regular crankbaits that run dive to about 6 foot. If you want some fun, really right at daylight, there's some top water action. That goes away pretty quickly. Grab your Carolina rig after that, move out to the points, drag you a stick worm around, and there's some fish beginning to school up in that summer pattern.
You got 2 photos here, bub?
Yep. 2 photos. I got Brian Cotter with a Lake Travis bass from one of his trips, and Greg Boyd from a fish from one of his trips recently over there around College Station area.
All right, bub. Real quickly, we haven't had a chance to visit. How'd you do in the tournament a week or so ago?
Well, this will be one I just soon not talk about.
All right, fair enough, fair enough.
This one got me. I'll get ready and load up to go to the next one.
All right, well, if you want to feel better, just pick up the phone, call old Ridge. He's in a tournament right now. He's getting crushed, so that you guys are living the same dream, baby.
All right, well, I've been doing it a long time. It happens.
Yes, you have. All right, bub, thank you so much. We're going to go and take a look at the hot spots of the Lower Fresh region. He says Fayette County bass are cooperating early in the morning. Concentrate your efforts shallow around the vegetation with rattle baits and 6-foot running crankbaits. Later, you pick up that Carolina rig and head to the main lake drop-offs and points to catch you a big one.
There's some things we just don't talk about. We're just going to
I didn't know, but you got to ask,
Gotta move on. That was nice to ask, though. All right, next we're staying stealthy in the Front Runner Boats Upper Coast region, and then Dave is giving us the who's who on the what's what for Taco Marine new products at the Yak Gear Workbench. Looking pretty over here.
We got stuff to catch the fish, and then stuff to catch the fish again.
Oh,
yay!
Oh, yeah. Double whammy. Love it.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro Lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Powerpole Tip are about all the new enhancements to the Powerpole Charge power management station. We added new hardware and stronger relays in it to make it more durable for you out on the water. The latest free software updates improve the on-off feature, so when you don't have the ability to plug your charge in, you simply turn it on and off in the app. We also added a sweet hibernation feature, which you can set a timer when your Powerpole Charge hibernates. So if you're keeping your boat in a high and dry or storing it at a storage lot where you can't plug it in, the Powerpole Charge no longer moves power and protects your batteries when you're away from a plug. We enhanced the engine slider priority, so if you have a lot of 12-volt accessories running, you simply move that priority over to the engine side, and we will charge and hold your engine battery higher than ever before, so you can run multiple fish finders, live wells, and all those other accessories you added to your boat. We also integrated with Garmin, so you now can see your charging priority all day long, right from your Garmin MFD. You can choose where you want the power to go when your engine's running. You can also initiate an emergency start should your outboard not be able to start right from your Garmin Fish Finder. All these new features are all laid out on the Powerpole website, so go to powerpole.com to learn more, and that's your Powerpole Tip.
So Dave, it's time for the Taco Marine new products here at the Yak Gear Workbench. So
Yes,
Dave,
sir.
What do we got this week?
Well, first off, we're going to start with that Berkley X9. We got 2 different lines, but we're going to start with the X9. And the X9 is designed to be really smooth and have a lot of strength. So it'll cast a long way. And the reason it's so smooth is because it has 8 strands wrapped around one, so it makes it very round. And that makes for a really smooth, strong, silent cast. It doesn't make a whole lot of noise going through your guides or anything. And it comes in 6 to 100-pound test, you know, just about every size there is, on 160 to 2,000-yard spools. The next one over there is the X5, and it is made more for a little bit to stand up to abrasion. It works good around cover, over sandbars and that kind of thing. You know, that 5 around 1, or the little 5 diamond that it makes, is a little bit more abrasion resistant than the X9. But again, it comes in 6 to 80 pound in 160 to 2,000 yard spools. So.
Yeah, so if you're fishing the jetties, then you're going to want something more abrasion resistance like the X5. If you're going to be casting, kayak fishing, whatever, long distance, covering ground, blind casting, then you're going to want an X9.
Yep.
The X9, my favorite casting line that I've ever used.
There you go. Next, we have the Powerbait Stingers. These are purposely built for use on a bladed jig. They got a really cool honeycomb design in the back that gives it a lot of action, but they're made out of that Durotech stuff. It's really tough stuff, so they're very, very durable. Thick bait fish profile. It's got both back slots and belly slots if you like wherever you want to put the hook. And you can rig it without a bladed jig if you want. And it has the Powerbait flavor, put inside of it. Comes in standard or true colors, 16 colors in all. It comes in a 3.5-inch size up to a 4.5-inch size. And you get 5 to 7 in a package for those things. BerkleyFishing.com. I don't know. I just hit puberty. Next, we have the Berkley Fishing Slobber Knocker. Yeah, I remember that from playing football in Alabama. It was built to outperform other baited jigs because it has that durable through-head design. You pick up that jig and show them that instead of the blade being attached by a little swivel or something, it's actually through the jig head. So it's not going to come apart. It'll last.
Jig eye.
Yeah, well, it'll last forever. Hard knocking sound, amplified rolling action. It's got the hand-tied Powerbait silicone skirt on there, and a really stout needle point hook. So it will really get it. And what I like about it, it has the talon keeper. A lot of guys put that spinner on, the corkscrew on there. It's hard to put a bait with a tail on a corkscrew because you have to keep moving it around the hook, and it can be a pain in the butt. But this one has the nice talon style. It just slides up in there and it won't come off. 1/2 ounce to 3/8 ounce, and it comes in a dozen different colors. So really, really cool thing for the slobber knocker.
I love that for red fishing, bub.
There you go.
It really gives a lot of vibration, much slower presentation than a spoon.
Exactly, and they still love to eat it. So
I certainly do.
Next, we got the roll top fish basket, and nobody's probably ever seen this in Texas. And these were made for ice fishing. This is why I say nobody's ever seen one in Texas. But it's made if you want to keep your fish. It's a fish basket. Super convenient fish storage. You could use this wading and put your trout in there. It's got a rubber-coated nylon mesh, heavy-duty Velcro closure at the top.
Right.
Little sturdy stainless steel eye bolts that you can attach it to stuff with,
right,
or the carbiner, and it's got a nice big zipper on the side.
So when you get ready to empty it, real simple.
Yep.
No reaching in there long. You're just gonna open up the side,
drop your one big trout,
dump your fish
two big trout out, and that's all you really need.
That's Eagle Claw.
Yep. And next we have the Eagle Claw folding net, and because we were doing a kayak thing, this is great for a small skiff or a kayak because it folds down to a very small size. It has that. It's made from a lightweight aluminum.
It's very light.
Very light, but it's still strong. 3 sizes: a 12 by 13, a 15 by 19, and a 20 by 18. And it's really great for storing on a small skiff or a small boat or any boat.
EagleClaw.com to get that.
Yes, EagleClaw.com.
All right, bud. You did great.
Well, thank you.
Good stuff over there, except you said carbiner. It's carabiner.
Whatever.
Sorry. All right, let's head to the Front Runner Boats Upper
English
Coast
teacher now.
region with Captain Carl Weston and see what we're paddling it into for the weekend. Button us up, Carl.
Hey, guys. Now that it's warmed up here in the Upper Coast, it's time to pull out that paddleboard if that's your gig and hit the water. It's perfect weather for it right now. Yeah, there's so many places to put in here in the Upper Coast. You can put it in almost anywhere, and you can fish so many areas that no one else really has access to. It just makes it a fun new way to fish. Now, the flounder bite has stayed consistent this week. The average size is a bit smaller than last month, but they're just as tasty, guys. And flounder, they prefer a live bait or an artificial bait that mimics a really live bait. I prefer a light color in this, like white, the chartreuse green, or the bright yellow. Fish Bites Fight Club has that 4-inch shrimp. They really have been my go-to when I'm fishing. I'll rig that on a 1/4-ounce trocar boxing glove. Jig head, I like the red. Go out there and bounce this on the oyster reefs right now. You'll trigger some really nice, aggressive bites. And hey, then the fight's on. If you're drifting a small shrimp or a small finger mullet near the bulkheads, then here's another great option. If you find small bait in these areas, is a great sign. Get out there before the water gets too warm and these fish disappear. I've got a picture today of Trey Bar and his buddy knocking down a beautiful pair of flounder.
Nice.
Perfect.
All right. Tell me about the trout bite, bub.
Well, the inshore bite is heating up right now. The trout bite is getting better and better this spring, so be ready for it. As summer approaches and we see more and more bait schools near the shore, these trout will leave their deep water holes and feed back in those creek outlets and the channel edges. For the first 3 hours before the tide is high and the first 2 hours of an outgoing tide in our area is prime fishing. As these trout love to ambush bait caught in the current, this is why that popping cord is such a great, it's a tool in our arsenal. The regular slip cork is so popular here in Texas as well. It just plain works. You can adjust your depth placement by drifting your bait around the inlets and those small creeks and outlets until you get a bite, and then repeat that drift. As you go back, you switch to hard plastics once you find the fish. Now that you got the range, the Mirror makes a huge selection of killer crankbaits. The Miramino Mr. 19 is a suspended twitch bait that trout just can't resist. I'm telling you, work this bait a little slower in the cool temps, faster in the warm water, and you will produce. I've got Mr. Trebar again twice today with a beautiful trout he caught.
All right, let's go offshore, bub. Thank you.
The wahoo bite is still strong, guys, so if this is your fish, get out there. Those strong current breaks in a 200 to 300 foot range. There's scattered bait in these areas. The birds will be your guide. Watch for the birds working bait along these rifts. The underwater rock piles and structures are still holding wahoo at this time as well. Rig ballyhoo with a skirt or naked either way is tearing the fish up fast. Trolling that is your best option. Right around 8 knots with this water temp. And remember to rig with wire or cable. Everything you rig must be, or you'll run out of some baits quick. Always send one down deep in your spread. I got a photo of Mr. Greg today with a nice wahoo he caught last week.
Quickly on the dolphin, bub.
Dorado. Okay, there's a large amount of grass coming in on the beaches, which is a great sign for this year that we're going to have Dorado in our areas. The bait, when they're holding the fish, there's little crabs and everything in here that they're eating. So your hot spot are going to be these grass lines. We go with, we troll Islanders mix in a small, medium-sized deep divers, run both sides of the weed line, find the fish. If you need to get on the little one, sometimes we throw some chum. You kick it out of gear with light spinning gear, gold spoon, hard to beat. The Fish Bites flavored strips tipped on a hook. All this works really well. Just keep them close to the boat, and you will catch a ton of fish, and you will have a ton of fun, guys. So get out there after them. I got a picture today of a gentleman with a nice Dorado.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. We're going to go ahead and read the hot spots from the Upper Coast region. Carl says that inshore, you're targeting flounder and bouncing a 4-inch Fish Bites Fight Club on a 1/4 ounce jig head over the oyster reefs in Galveston Bay. And then offshore, fast trolling wahoos pulling naked ballyhoos in 200 to 300 feet of water, troll along the current breaks or the bottom structures, and that's the upscale glass hotspots from the Upper Coast region.
Upscale glass.
Welcome to the show.
My goodness gracious. Well, we had Chad Kinney from our Lower Coast region today, Sea Sucker Lower Coast region. We had Eric from Yak Gear. We had like a great show today, gentlemen.
Yes, we did.
I'd say we do. Dave, you're fishing a tournament, Fish Bites tournament this weekend, so good luck doing that.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna go dove hunting in Bolivia.
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
I'm taking Chad with me and Mike Prosick with me and all kinds of cool people.
Yeah.
I'll be catching snappers off the dock with my children.
Yeah, man.
Why not, right? Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.
So you know what, Bree? We've got to say goodbye to a great outdoorsman.
Okay.
Ivan Townsend. We lost his life, passed away this past Monday, so we wanted condolences to the family, for sure. What a great outdoorsman.